In this video, we will study about very important characteristic of living organism, that is reproduction. Again, production, generation. So this is the process by which living organisms, they produce new individual of the same kind, of the same species. Now, why this is important? See, all other life processes like nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion, these are all important for survival of the individual. But reproduction, this is the process which is necessary for survival of the species. It leads to increase in the population. Now imagine the situation when the organism, they are not reproducing. Then what is going to happen? Slowly their population will decrease and ultimately that species will become extinct. So reproduction, it plays much more important role rather than other life processes. In this process, we have done just the statement that all living organisms, they give birth to offspring of the same kind, of the same species. Now, how is it possible? We all know that DNA is the genetic material that is present in the nucleus. This DNA is responsible for transfer of all the characteristics from the parent organism to the offspring. DNA is the blueprint of the body. It is having all information for the formation of proteins, and these proteins, they decide the structure of the body, function of the body. So if the dividing cells, they are getting the same kind of blueprint, same kind of DNA, so they are going to develop into the same kind of offsprings. This is the reason that all offspring, they resemble their parents. Now this DNA that is dividing into daughter cells is similar, but this is not identical. So now the offspring, they are similar to each other, they are similar to their parents, but they are not identical. Because when the DNA copies were formed, there is slight exchange of genetic material between chromosomes. And this slight exchange of material result in variation in the DNA. And this variation in DNA, it leads to variation in the offspring. And this variation is the basis of evolution. Now in this you can see how DNA is dividing into two copies. And when these two copies are formed, then these are equally divided into daughter cells. Now here you can see that 4 daughter cells are formed from the one parent cell during the meiosis, cell division, and there is a slight change in their DNA material. This slight change in the DNA material is responsible for variation. Why these variations are important? What would happen if there is no variation in organisms? Now, suppose the situation when there is no variation. What would have happened? Then all the organisms which are around us, they are all going to be similar. Right now, we are having more than 1 crore different type of species on the earth. And all these species, they have evolved from the first living organism that evolved, originated on the earth, that is bacteria. So if there wouldn't have been any variation, biodiversity would come to end. So this is very important, very important for the evolution process. We all know that the surrounding environment is constantly changing. there is a change in the temperature, there is a change in the climatic condition, in the water level. All these are constantly changing. And suppose there is no change in the DNA, then organism, they cannot adjust themselves to this surrounding conditions. So if they have to survive under changing condition, there has to be change in their DNA. So these DNA variation, they help to survive these organisms in the changing environment. Otherwise, species, they can become extinct. So these help in the survival of the species and they help in the evolution of the new species. Now let us come to the type of reproduction. We have studied in earlier classes also that reproduction can be divided into two categories: asexual reproduction and the sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is that type of the reproduction in which only single parent is involved. And in sexual reproduction, two parents are involved. And in higher organism, these two parents are known as male and female. Now, what are the other differences between asexual and the sexual reproduction? Asexual reproduction is a simple process. It occurs in lower organisms. In this, gametes are not produced, fertilization doesn't occur, offsprings, they are identical to the parent, only mitosis division is involved, and in a short period, large number of offsprings are produced. But in sexual reproduction, two parents are involved, gametes, these are produced, and these gametes, they fuse to form the zygote and then embryonic development occur. So it takes time, it's a slow process. Offspring, they are not identical to their parents. We have just seen that there is variation in the DNA copying and that lead to variation. In sexual reproduction, both mitosis and meiosis cell divisions are involved and a small number of offsprings are produced. In nutshell, we can say that asexual reproduction is a simple process, it's a fast process. Sexual reproduction is a complex process, it is a slow process. Now let us study various types of asexual reproduction. In this process, organisms, they can divide by fission, budding, regeneration, fragmentation, spore formation, and vegetative propagation. Fission. In this, organism divide into two or sometimes maybe more new individual. When we are saying organism divide here, we are talking of the unicellular organism. Fission occur in unicellular organism. Multicellular organism, they cannot divide by fission process. Now this can be of two types: binary fission and multiple fission. Binary, by, two. So this is the type of fission in which organism divides into two. And as a result, two new organisms are formed. In this figure, you can see that amoeba is dividing into two daughter amoeba. First of all, you can observe that nucleus is dividing. When nucleus has been divided into two, this is followed by the division of the cytoplasm. And then two daughter cells are formed. Division of nucleus is also known as karyokinesis, and division of cytoplasm is known as cytokinesis. So first of all, karyokinesis occurs and this is followed by the cytokinesis. This is found in amoeba, paramecium, euglena, trypanosoma, leishmania. many other unicellular organisms. But there is a difference in the binary fission of amoeba and binary fission of euglena or paramecium. Amoeba can divide into two daughter cells in any half, but paramecium or euglena or leishmania, they all divide into two daughter cells only in a particular plane. Another thing, in this type of reproduction, the identity of the parent is lost because now we have seen that parent divide into two daughter cells. Now parent is not left. So sometimes this is asked, are these organisms immortal? If conditions are favorable, these organisms will keep on dividing. But this doesn't happen. Sooner or later, some or the other condition become limiting. Either the nutrition or the temperature or the pH is not favorable. Then they die. Multiple fission. In this method, one organism is dividing into many daughter cells. For example, Plasmodium. Plasmodium is responsible for causing malaria. Amoeba also can divide by the multiple fission. What happens in this? Nucleus divide many times. And these nuclei, they are surrounded by dense cytoplasm. And now all these are surrounded by a tough covering, a hard coat. And now this structure is called cyst. The surrounding covering is called the cyst wall and the structure is called cyst. This cyst help Plasmodium or amoeba to survive under unfavorable conditions. When the conditions are favorable, then the cyst wall will break and all daughter cells are released. So we can say that multiple fission, it helps them to survive under unfavorable conditions. Budding. Budding, this may happen in unicellular organism like yeast, or it may happen in multicellular organisms like Hydra. Here you can see that bud is formed on the yeast. What is bud? How we are going to define the bud? This is an outgrowth on the body of the parent organism. This outgrowth, it grows and ultimately it detaches from the parent organism and develops into a new one. In yeast, we can see that a bud can develop on the bud or a chain of bud is formed. Here you can observe budding in case of Hydra. Fragmentation. In this, organism breaks into fragments, into pieces. It is a natural process. When organism they get mature, they attain a particular size, they will break themselves. No external agent force is required to break the organism. And each organism is a new organism, is a new individual. It simply grows. In this method also, identity of the parent is lost. We have seen in budding, the identity remain intact, but in fragmentation, this identity is lost. Regeneration. In regeneration also, body divide into parts. Then how this is different from fragmentation? In fragmentation also we have done that organism divide into pieces or fragments, and regeneration also we are saying that body divide into parts. The difference is, one, regeneration is not a natural process. It is an accidental process. Organisms, they don't depend on regeneration for the reproduction process. Only if some accident happens and accidentally organism break into pieces, then only regeneration will occur. Second thing, when we say that body divide into parts, then these parts are not the individual. For example, say this planaria is divided into 3 parts. So we cannot say that this head part is a planaria, or this middle part is a planaria, or this tail part is a planaria. No. Each part has to first regenerate the lost body part. Then only it will be known as individual or the new organism. But in fragmentation, as soon as fragments are formed, they form the new individual. In fragmentation, no special cell, no special structure is there. But in regeneration, special cells are involved for regeneration process. So regeneration is different from fragmentation. This is also found in Hydra. We have seen that budding is also found in Hydra. So in lower organism, there can be more than one method of reproduction. Spore formation. What are spores? Spores, these are the microscopic reproductive structure. When conditions are favorable, when spores get the favorable conditions, then they can germinate, and from them new individual can come out. Spore formation, this is found in bacteria also, in protista also, fungi also, and in Thallophyta lower plants also. Spores, they are formed in the sac-like structure, sporangia. You can see in this given example, bread mucor. There are sporangia, spore sac, and in these spore sac, spores are there. And when it bursts, then these spores come out. So there are lots of spores in our surrounding. But they will germinate only when the conditions are favorable. They are getting the moist surface, they are getting the sufficient nutrients. Then they will germinate and they will develop into new individual. Now let us study asexual reproduction in plants. Vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation is a type of asexual reproduction in plants where a new plant is produced by using any vegetative part of the plant. Plant parts, they can be categorized into 2 categories, vegetative part and the reproductive part. Root, stem, leaves, these are the vegetative parts, and a flower on the plant represent the reproductive part. So when we are saying vegetative propagation, it means when a new plant is grown using root or stem or leaf, then this is called vegetative propagation. Root. In this, the roots of the plant are used to grow a new plant. Here you can see that roots break down and a new plant is coming out of this. Here you can see a new plant is coming out of the roots. Similarly, sweet potato. We can get new plant by using sweet potato. Sweet potato, shakargandi. Sweet potato is a modified root. Vegetative propagation by stem. When we are using the stem. In this slide you can see all these are modified stem. They are all storing the food. Onion. Now do you know the stem part in this? The hard white part on the lower side of the onion is the stem. Similarly, ginger can also be used, and we all know that in potato there are eyes. All these eyes are the buds, and these buds they can be used to grow a new plant. Colocasia, Arbi, Kachalu, Jimikan. In these also, stem can be used to grow a new plant. By leaf, begonia, bryophyllum. In both these you can see how new plant, new leaves are coming. Here you can see so many buds are coming on the bryophyllum leaf, and each one of these is capable of giving rise to a new plant. Cutting, layering and grafting. Stem cutting is a very common method by which new plants are grown. For example, you must have seen in money plant, in rose plant, a stem cutting can be used to get a new plant. Layering, a very common method of reproduction in grass. What happened in this? See that the branch, lateral branch of this plant is touching the soil, and where it is touching the soil, roots are coming, and then from there a new plant comes. Now the lateral branch of this will touch the soil, and again it will give the root, and again from there a new plant will come. So in this way, this will keep on covering the soil. This is done in grass. Grafting. Grafting is used to get the superior quality of the plants. In this, stem cutting of two different plants are taken. In this figure, you notice that there are two stem cutting. One is called scion and another is called stalk. Suppose we take the example of a mango tree. There is a mango tree which is resistant to diseases, but its fruit production is less. So from that tree, we will take the stalk. And there is another mango tree whose fruit production is very good, but it is susceptible to diseases. So we will take the upper part of the cutting from this plant. This is called scion and this is called stalk. So now this scion and stalk, they are combined, and you also notice that the cut is always oblique. So this oblique cut is increasing the surface area for the tissue attachment. Now these are combined like this, and then they are wrapped either with the wax or with the moss plant so that the moisture remain intact. After some time, these two cutting will get joined and they will show the characteristic of both the plants. Another method of vegetative propagation is tissue culture. In this method, from any part of the plant, it may be from the root or maybe from the stem or maybe from the leaves, or generally from the apical parts of the plant, because that part is disease free. Meristematic tissue, they are always disease free. So generally for tissue culture, that part is taken. Otherwise, any part can also be taken if it is a healthy plant. So some tissue are removed from any part of the plant, and then these are kept in the artificial medium. This is the artificial medium here. In this some nutrients are added. So when we are adding these cells into this will grow into a mass of cell. And this mass of cell is called callus. This is callus. But this callus is not a plant. This is just a mass of cell. Now plant hormones are added in this. Auxin is one of such plant hormones. So when plant hormones they are added to this, now roots and shoot will start appearing in these. And now these are called plantlets. So at a time you can see many plantlets are formed. Now these plantlets, they are transferred to the soil where they will grow into a mature plant. So by tissue culture, in a very short span, we can get hundreds of the copy of the plant. All these are identical. These are called clones. Now, what are the advantages of vegetative propagation? Because only single parent is involved in this. There is no exchange of genetic material. The characters of the parent plants are preserved. So if we are having a very good variety of the plant and we want that its character should be preserved, then the best method is vegetative propagation. It is a quick process. We have seen that either by the stem cutting, root cutting, we can get a new plant. So it's a quicker method. It's easier method. It's cheaper method. There are certain plants that don't produce viable seed. Means though they are producing seeds, but they have lost the ability to germinate. Then in such plant, vegetative propagation is the only method left. Just now we have seen that in grafting we are getting a superior quality plant. So in them fruit production is good. This is less expensive method of multiplying the plants, because at a time we are getting hundreds of the plant of the same kind. Here you can see that by this method, suppose we have got the seedless variety of the fruit. So now that fruit is not having the seeds so that it can be further grown by using the seed. So in them again, vegetative propagation is the good method. Here you can see that this is the seedless banana. On the left hand side, you can see the wild variety of the banana showing the seed, and this is the cultured variety of the banana, seedless banana. And again here the seedless orange. So in such seedless plants, vegetative propagation is the only method of reproduction. In our next video, we will study about the sexual reproduction in living organisms.